Sorry, I was muted. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm Ariel Epstein. Thanks for tuning in. It was a big night last night. Felt bad because I had to hang up on my family. That game, Houston, Florida, insanity. It was kind of a win-win for me since I was in the Splash Sports contest with my best friend CT. CT Betts and I, we split 2 tickets and we had Houston and Florida on each side. Surprisingly, we needed Florida to win to make more money. I really thought people would have needed Houston more, but we did cash and I am super pumped about it. So, yay. Thank you, Splash Sports, for making this a really fun tournament. It was actually something that it was really different. And yeah, my Yankees tears are not showing today. Sean Michael, 5-0 loss to Tarek Skubal. I'll get to that in a little bit. That was a disgusting game. I actually was really excited about a 1 o'clock baseball game today. I sit around, I get ready for the show, I do the morning newsletter. Once the morning newsletter goes out, I continue to cap some NBA stuff, and that game just helped me to not worry about it. So anyway, Daniel says, viewed the morning newsletter, understood the mission. Happy Fade Patrick Corbin Day. That's what we do. We fade Patrick Corbin. It's his first start of the year. Pitched for the Nats for the last 5 or 6 seasons, making his debut for the Rangers. Had to get moved up today because Jack Leiter got injured with a blister on his throwing finger. So he ended up having to get pushed back. Corbin now, in Wrigley, not great. I've got that in props to watch coming up in a little bit, but we'll recap last night. We could start with the NBA last night. Domantas Sabonis, over 12.5 rebounds. Oh, wait, I should mention, I mentioned this on social media. John Jastremski, Pam Maldanado coming on the show. JJ's going to be on first at 5:10 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk baseball. He's got some best bets. He's got a parlay. We're also going to talk about the Knicks since they're getting into the playoff push. Pam Maldanado going to talk Masters. She works for ESPN. In case you guys haven't seen her work, you should check it out. She's huge with golf and tennis betting for sure. Especially, she loves college football, but she's really good with betting on golf. So we'll have Masters stuff for you since it's starting this week. Okay, back to the NBA. Sabonis over 12.5 rebounds. Again, guys, this is one of those things with Sabonis where on the second leg of a back-to-back, he switches more to being the rebounder on this team. It was a great matchup last night. So getting those boards was huge. And I liked Keegan Murray, but he didn't end up playing. So Sabonis went over rebounds. Jalen Duren, I said that his prop against the Kings was way too high at 11.5. Duren averages about 10 rebounds a game when facing top 10 rebounding teams like the Kings. When what was the situation? Oh, the Kings don't really, I think they allow about 10 also. And Duren's numbers just not that great against other bigs like Sabonis. So under 11.5 rebounds catches, he had 9. Malik Monk was the only thing in the newsletter yesterday that didn't end up hitting. Malik Monk had 2 points yesterday, then got injured. So he really only played 6 minutes. It was a great overall day, though, for the Prop Queen newsletter. If you don't subscribe, you should definitely subscribe. We also mentioned these 3 in the Prop Queen newsletter. My best bet was Zach Eflin under 4.5 Ks. This man stayed in the game way too long. He was only in 6 innings. I felt like it was an eternity. He only had 1 strikeout through 6, which was great. Said under against the D-backs. Just felt like that took way too long. Kodai Senga under 6.5 Ks. Again, this is one of those situations where when you get the same team in back-to-back starts, don't bet it if it happened the game before. It typically never does, especially with strikeouts. It's very rare. If you go to any pitcher's stats that you see a pitcher play the same team in back-to-back starts, very rare that he goes over or under his K-prop back-to-back games. He'll always typically do the opposite. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Actually, at the end of the show in Royal Locks, because there's a situation opposite of Kodai Senga tonight that is worth taking a look at. Luis Severino under 4.5 Ks. He ended up with 3 yesterday. Another good spot to fade a pitcher against a team that has a very low K rate, and that's the San Diego Padres. They just don't strike out a lot. And in that ballpark in Sacramento, where the ball keeps flying out of the park, and people keep scoring runs, I'm not convinced that pitchers are staying in games long enough. Severino under 4.5 Ks also ended up cashing yesterday. So overall, it was a really good day for Major League Baseball, for the NBA. It was only 2 games. We have a lot of games on the slate in the NBA tonight, and I feel bad because in the newsletter, I did want to feature the Celtics-Knicks game. The Celtics injury report was insane. I'm not wasting the time, guys. Sorry. I'm just not wasting the time handicapping these stupid games in the NBA where I spend all this time and then they tell me that Kristaps Porzingis isn't going to play because of an illness or Jalen Brunson's not going to play. Like, I don't know if that's the case yet. If you handicap a game, you like a play, and then some star is out in the NBA, it makes a huge difference. I'll even just mention this chart for tonight, right? Phoenix Suns. They're up against, where are the Suns playing tonight now? Golden State. So they're playing Golden State. These are the 3 players that I zone in on without Kevin Durant. Devin Booker is averaging 29 points a game without KD. Just under 6 assists. You see his assists drop a bit without KD. Nick Richards, the center, his rebounds go up. He averages just over 8 rebounds a game, and his rebounds prop 7.5. Dunn, he stinks without KD. His prop's 8.5 every time. He tends to go under it, every time. So these are stats to know when you're without a star. It's really important. Then there's other teams like the Cavs who are a double-digit spread tonight, but they're going to be without their star, Donovan Mitchell. These are the 7 games without Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland, of course, the leading scorer. But I really like Evan Mobley tonight. Evan Mobley up against Chicago. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. He didn't play in the last game. So let me just, Chicago. He didn't play in the last game. Jared Allen had a huge game last game against Chicago. Put up like 25 points or something. But Mobley didn't. And forwards have actually had a lot of success recently against the Chicago Bulls. So I would go look at Evan Mobley over points tonight. It flips over to Jared Allen being more of obviously he's the center. Look at the mismatch too, right? In Chicago, the mismatch with Jared Allen underneath, you're going to get Vucevic. There's nobody else on the Bulls that can defend against any of these bigs. I mean, it's literally Evan Mobley is a complete mismatch for everybody else in Chicago. So make sure to keep an eye out for Evan Mobley. Darius Garland, his prop's a little too high for me, but these are all numbers that you should definitely note when looking at games without certain players. Got another one tonight. LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is out for the season. So I've always been, and if you've been following the newsletter, then you'll know I've been loving Miles Bridges without LaMelo Ball. I have to keep an eye on his status tonight. He's questionable with an injury. If Bridges is in, I love his over rebounds. You could look at over his assists too. He's averaging 5 assists per game against bottom 10 defenses in games with Mark Williams, and his prop's only 3.5 assists. Rebounds is only 5.5. The book still hasn't caught on to this. Now, I know that Bridges hasn't had a lot of rebounds recently, but he's up against Memphis, who's bad defensively. There should be some missed shots in this game with like a bunch of people. It's like whatever game. So he should be able to grab some boards tonight as long as he's healthy. And then, of course, you have Mark Williams, who's also doing well without LaMelo Ball. He's averaging over his points, well over it. His points prop was 15.5, and he's averaging 17, 18 points a game in those spots without LaMelo, 12.5 rebounds. So there should be boards to go around. Switching over to some Major League Baseball because my good friend John Jastremski is about to join the show. Ringer Podcast, New York, New York. Check them out. JJ, what's up?
I love the greeting. I love the seamless nature that I was welcome the prop queen. You're giving me a nice little respite, to be honest with you, because our apartment is a war zone with a baby on the way. So
I know.
There's a lot of craziness going on.
I had to get you on the show before the baby comes. When's the baby due?
Early May. But then, honestly, you could have had some insanity. I mean, Kylie Kelsey just did a podcast, what was it, like a week ago after delivering her 4th child? So, I mean, Ariel, if she can do a podcast and give birth, like, within days, then maybe we could do a May spot.
You're not the one giving birth.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. It's not as grueling for me as it is for Miss Kelsey. So
Are you going to work, or are you going to take some time off in baseball season and
A
Knicks
little bit,
playoff run? I mean,
ma-
this wasn't really timed well.
Well, I mean, it beats football season, to be honest with you, Ariel.
That's
for me.
fair.
There's never, let's be honest about this. Unless you want to have a baby in February, there's never a good time.
It could be the Super Bowl, which the Kelseys also did do at one point. Remember that?
That's what I mean. So
they brought the doctor.
Maybe we'll play it out. Maybe we'll do a winter baby down the road. I don't know, but yeah, we'll get like a week and a half to recharge the batteries, and then it's back. The beauty of what we do, Ariel, is that everything is done from the comforts of your own home, and there's small spurts, so it's not like I'm in a studio for 8 hours.
Yeah, you can watch the Yankees from home.
You watch. You work.
You
stay up overnight, and then you go from there.
Over under months old that the baby gets to go to a Yankee game.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's more or less, does mom and dad want to bring the baby to a Yankee game? Because I don't know about you. I didn't go to my first game until I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, it's about the same, 5 or 6. I was in a Pink
And
Princess
you're obviously
dress.
a big Yankee fan. Your parents obviously love baseball. Part of me
What's a good age for the first? And I don't mean what is the age you are going to bring your kid to a game?
When they actually remember? That's a good question. I haven't thought about it.
I think you're going to take your kid before the kid remembers it.
You know what it is, though? I think it's also a matter of convenience, right? Because it just may be a lot more convenient for us to go to a game and say, you know what, we're going to put the little headphones on. We'll do what we need to do. And that way we don't got to worry about getting a babysitter. But we may also decide, you know what, after doing it once, next game we go to, babysitter. Enjoy. We're going to the game ourselves. We'll see.
Here's one thing Baby J doesn't need to worry about. Baby J does not need to worry about listening to Sinatra play if the Yankees lose. So JJ and I called this, I think this was a year or two ago. Take a listen.
JJ and I have made the...
Yeah, so hot take. No Sinatra after a loss.
No New York, no Sinatra after a Yankees loss.
Fair?
Okay? Fair. I agree. I think that it should be a sad song. And after a win, you
Well,
play
they can play Liza
Sinatra.
Minnelli, but no Sinatra.
No Sinatra.
First of all, my hair looked like very luscious right there. It's like a lot. You could tell that's a good
That's good
summer.
hair. Well, you weren't wearing a hat. So
that was like summer sweat flow from the Delta Suite, every which way imaginable. But yeah, Ariel, we willed that into existence. That is true.
Are you happy that the Yankees have finally taken Sinatra out of the losses?
So I've only been to one game so far this year, opening day. And
Didn't lose.
Which was nice, knowing that after the win, you would hear New York, and you'd be in like a good mood. It'd be a good vibe. It'd be a good strut out of the stadium. It will hit home and register a lot more when I go to a game and they lose. I haven't really gotten the full fan appreciation of it yet, which is coming at some point in time. But it really, we brought it up a year and a half ago, whenever the hell that was. It was so bad, Ariel, when we were at the 5th game of the World Series. And it's like the Dodgers are legit like hugging each other and celebrating on the field. And I got to hear it blare. And it's like, do I need this right now? It's bad enough. No. I don't need this.
No, in fact, it's a little taunting to the Dodgers, too, honestly, to win in that fashion. But we do have a new season, thank goodness. And the Yankees are 6-5 after their loss today to the Tigers, first shutout of the year. Disgusting. The Mets are 7-3. They're currently playing. Let's start with the Yankees. Hey, I thought the best value on the Yankees this year, preseason, was for them to miss the playoffs, JJ.
Well, the crazy thing about that number, Ariel, is it really plummeted right before opening day. And then the Yankees got off to a hot start. I mean, on Monday, every now and again, I like to look at the make-miss playoff markets, and I kind of, get a sense, get a feel. You could have gotten the Yankees at plus 310 on Monday to miss the postseason. I'm sure those odds changed a little bit after losing back-to-back games to the Tigers. But I'll give a pass on this, Ariel, from this standpoint. These games in Detroit, it is 35 degrees. It is absolutely miserable. There is nobody in the stands. And today, you got to face the best pitcher in the American League in like sub-zero, not exactly optimal hitting conditions. Now, I know
you're
the Tigers
making excuses for them.
I'm making excuses for a lot of teams playing in the
You're
cold
making
weather.
excuses for the reigning American League champs for why they got shut out today.
They got shut out by the best pitcher in the American League. Did they not? I mean, it's not like they got shut out by some bum. Schoolball's awesome.
That's fair, but they haven't looked good. Listen, what? They lost now 3 in a row. They lost to the Pirates, lost to the Tigers now 2 in a row. They have another game tomorrow with Max Fried pitching. The Yankees their pitching staff, it's not reliable.
Well, think about it. You have 2 starters who I think the Yankees are counting on in a big way coming back that really need to make an impact. Schmidt coming back next week. Threw the ball well last year, not in the World Series, but I mean, he had a sub-3 ERA on the year, looked more comfortable as a starter, and is significantly better than Marcus Stroman, Cookie Carrasco, and Will Warren.
Yeah.
That's a big upgrade. Heal's another one. They got to get those 2 guys back. Then all of a sudden, the Yankee rotation, even without Garrett Cole, Rodon is what he is. People are freaking out about Rodon. There's going to be good Rodon where he's brilliant like he was on opening day. There's going to be awful Rodon like we saw the other day against Detroit. If he takes the ball every 5th day, I think you'll get similar production and similar numbers to what you got last year, which is okay. Like, it's not the contract that he is making, but it's workmanlike, acceptable performance.
So you're optimistic.
Optimistic as far as what? Them being in the playoffs? Yes. I still think they will be in the playoffs. I do not know if they're going to win the division. I expect the Yankees to be in the playoffs.
This American League East, I mean, the team that I'm most shocked by on the slow start is the Orioles. They're the team for me in this division. They've got the best lineup. The Red Sox, we'll see. I know they're off to a hot start, but I also don't like when teams peak early in the season, JJ. Look at what happened with the Rays when they went those, 20 plus wins in a row. They didn't even make the playoffs. So,
well, we saw that with you saw it in 2022 with the Yankees. Remember when the 2022 Yankees were being compared to the 98 Yankees, Ariel? How insulting that was. Yeah, believe it. That was those. I don't think you and I were having those conversations, but there were certain people within the sport trying to make the argument because of the pace that the 98 team was off to, and compared to the pace that, that team was off to. They flamed out in the second half. They did not play great in the postseason. They got swept by the Houston Astros. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't like seeing the team come guns a-blazing right out of the gate, unless you're the Dodgers, where it really doesn't matter because the team is just so loaded. What's the difference?
Yeah, no, we don't talk about them until the NLCS, because that's when it matters. You do your podcast, New York for Ringer Podcast. It's awesome. It's all things New York. If you had to take a bet, Yankees or Mets to go further in the playoffs, who are you choosing?
So, I think the Mets have a better team than the Yankees. However, I think the National League's a lot better. So, I am going to kind of play odds here. I'm going to say the Yankees, by a smidge, go further than the Mets. How about this? I do not think either New York team finds their way to the ALCS or the NLCS.
Me either.
This year. I do not think so. I think the Yankees have an easier path to get there. I do. But
yeah,
we'll get to this when we do best bets. The NL East still has Philadelphia, and I know Atlanta has been rotten to start the year. They're going to play much better.
Yeah, they'll get better.
Are they? Let me ask you. I'll turn the tables on you. Would you bet the Braves to make the playoffs right now?
Yeah, I would bet the Braves to make the playoffs, depending on the value. I'd have to see what the number. Do you know what the number is off the top of your head?
So I wouldn't lay it, and you wouldn't lay it. We're not going to lay 160.
No, I'm not laying it.
160.
I would take a good price.
If you're telling me, JJ, gun to your head, is Atlanta playing in October this year? I still think they are. I'm not.
No, it's still minus 168 for them to make the playoffs. They have to suck more.
Correct.
Their pitching's going to get better. You're going to get a better Strider. You're going to get Acuna. You're going to get, you just have to hope Sale stays healthy. They'll get better for sure. I think it's pretty telling that we can't jump off the bandwagon so quick when they're still minus 168. But the NL, I was trying to find futures in the NL, JJ, and aside for the D-backs to make the playoffs at minus 110, I really couldn't find any futures that I liked in the National League this year.
The one I'm kind of feeling like I missed out on, Philadelphia Phillies. Because
win the division or World Series?
To win a pennant and to win a World Series. And I still could get a decent number now at 10-1. I just think in a postseason series, the pitching they can throw at a team like the Dodgers with Wheeler, with Luzardo,
I
with
agree.
Suarez, with Nola. They got a loaded rotation, and they have so many guys. Now, I don't love the bottom of their order. I don't love the way they hit it the second half of last year. They were awful in the Mets series. There's some weakness at the bottom of the order. They can add to that. Dombrowski is a very aggressive general manager. So they may have one or two pieces that are not on the team now that might be on the team in August, September, and beyond. That's a team to me, the more and more I think about it, Ariel. If you're thinking about beating the Dodgers, there's like a certain formula to do it. I think the Phillies
You mean don't make errors in the
Well,
field?
I mean, I wasn't gonna relive the disaster that was. Did you watch the Apple World Series documentary? I actually did.
That's like me going back and watching Fever Pitch again in 2004. You think
Yeah,
about
I'm a
it in my
sucker.
mind?
I'm a sucker for pain though. So every now and again,
For punishment.
when these things like come across,
Did I ever tell you what my dad made me do? Who's an
No.
Orioles fan? In 2000, when did Fever Pitch come out? 04, 05? It came out right
well,
after.
04 was the World Series, so it's probably 05 or 06, right around there.
Right,
Yeah.
right around there. So my dad knew that the scene was coming. I didn't, I just saw, okay, it's Fever Pitch. It's a movie about a Red Sox fan. Cool. It was so close to 04 that I didn't think they had the time to turn it around.
To get it in there, yeah. Of course,
I didn't think that. I was like, oh, this just came out and it just
Yeah.
happened. There's no way that this was in it. They already probably finished filming this movie. My dad knew. So his Orioles fan self is sitting there in the seats with me, and we're in the movie theater. He intentionally took me there to watch that redo of the 04
That's
ALCS.
mean.
I walked
mean.
out. I don't even know how
I gotta
Fever
give
Pitch
your
ends.
dad some crap for that the next time I see him. When I see him at Yankee
know how the
Stadium for a
movie
Yanks
ends.
Orioles
No
game.
idea.
That's bad form. Now, I will say this. That's an outstanding movie. It really is a good
Great movie.
Jimmy
It
Fallon's great. I love Drew Barrymore. It's fun.
Great
It's
baseball movie.
It's just the wrong fan
Wrong team.
perspective. That's all. Yeah.
Wrong team. Just like Juan Soto. Just kidding. Mets this year. How are you looking at the Mets? Clay Holmes pitching, gave up another 2 runs today. Still weird to me. He's a starter, but thoughts on the Mets early on?
So their bullpen has been incredible. Absolutely, positively incredible. And that's the David Stearns effect. He just has this knack for finding dudes and getting the most out of them. Relievers, we saw it last year with the buy lows on Severino and Minaya and the success they had. They kind of transformed David Peterson into being a different pitcher than what he was earlier in his career. So I kind of think they got like that secret sauce going with pitching. Are they going to have to add to their staff? 1,000%.
Yeah.
They will. See, that's what I think a lot of people are missing about both actually New York teams. The teams that you are seeing right now in April are going to be different teams than what you see at the end of July, because the Yankees
Which is
usually,
where you try to get ahead in the futures market. Who's going to make the right moves?
and you know this, Ariel, the Yankees make trades. They do.
Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm was added to the team last year. Whether they're good trades or not is besides the point. They will be active. They will try to do something to improve the team. And I think you'll see the Mets, knowing they gave Soto this ginormous amount of money, I think Stearns will be far more aggressive this year at the deadline than he was in years past. Now, I don't know who the big arm is going to be. Obviously, Alcantara, everybody's going to link him to their team because the Marlins stink and they're going to be sellers.
The good thing for the Yankees about Alcantara, they probably don't deal him in division.
You would think, unless you get blown away. That's, I think, what it boils down to. But, yeah, I think the Mets will be a playoff team. I think their lineup, top 5, is really strong. I think the bottom of their order is questionable. I see a lot of questions 6 through 9. You know, everybody told me Brett Beatty had this unbelievable spring. He stinks. He's awful. He's not an everyday player. He's a quad A player. McNeil is going to play second base. Acuna is going to play second base. They have gotten a nice spark from Torrens, but they miss what Alvarez really can be from an offensive standpoint. That, to me, is what's holding me back with the Mets. I feel like they're a starter short, and I feel like that bottom of the order, it just is lacking for me. So it means your top 5 have got to be really, really good. Alonso's off to an awesome start. It's nice when you're hitting behind Soto and Lindor. You know you're going to have a lot of chances to go and knock in runs. And I think he's going to be a beast this year, Ariel. I'm all over Alonso having a monster season. The guy's got to get it going, though, is Vientos. I love his swag. I love the way he played last year. He's gotten off to a slow start to the year. So is that an adjustment that big league pitchers have made on him? Does he have to now get in the lab and change the approach and whatnot? Or is it a slow start? Maybe it's a combination of the two. But that's the guy I'm looking at where I'm like, okay, buddy, 2 weeks into the year, we got to get you going.
The Mets are playing right now. It's 2-2, top of the 5th against the Miami Marlins.
By the way, you are a brave soul. Sorry to cut you off there. You are a brave soul if you're sitting out at Citi Field watching this baseball game today, because it is freezing. I walked around. I had to walk our neighbor's dog, ran some errands, and I got like the hood on. I got the big jacket on. And if you're sitting out there,
you're a crazy person that likes to run in this weather.
So, yes, in like December and January when it's tolerable. Now I'm like a little
tolerable in what world?
No. I can't run in the heat, to be honest with you, Ariel. That's what, because you warm up. You warm up when you run. Your body gets warm. You start sweating a little bit. You don't sweat a lot. Like when I go to Florida and I do 4 or 5 miles, that's when I'm going to die. Okay. Like I ran 5 miles last year in the humid the day before Dolphins Bills in September. And I think I sweated out about 10 pounds of booze, probably, because that's what I was drinking the night before. So
well, that's also, that's definitely why you were sweating.
But it was not a pretty sight with me dealing with the humidity, So, but this is now like I look at the weather forecast and I'm like, all right, it's going to be nicer. I'm not going to subject myself to this. You understand?
Well, I understand. What I don't understand is that you're right. How people, whether it was here in New York today or in Detroit all the last 2 days, how people in the middle of the day are sitting there torturing themselves. But when you're a fan, you're a fan. JJ, I want to get to your best bet tonight, staying in the National League East. You like a team it's not even, they're at home. Who you betting a money line on in the NL East? Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this game. I think you're getting good value with Sale and the Braves, who, yes, have gotten off to a rotten start. And I think you're going to have a lot of people lining up, fading the Braves. They've played poorly. They're going to see Zach Wheeler on the mound. They're going to say, wow, Zach Wheeler, Phillies.
They're dogs. I mean, I know they're on the road, and you've got Sale pitching, so it makes sense. And -116 for Sale.
That's why I'm all over the Braves tonight. I just think you get a little bit of a market correction, number one, with Atlanta. They can't continue to play this badly. I'm getting a big-time pitcher on the mound. And one thing with Atlanta matching up against Wheeler, they've seen him a lot now. They have seen Zach Wheeler, 3, 4, 5 times in a given year? So there might be more of a comfort level for a team like the Braves than there would be a team playing out of the National League East when it comes to, matching up with a starter and whatnot. So I think this line kind of tells you all you need to know. I'm going to take it. If the Braves continue to stink, I'll just say, you know what? I got to stop betting bad teams. I'm on Atlanta, and I got one more for you tonight.
Is this a parlay?
No, I'm not going to parlay them. If you want it, be my guest. If you're
I thought you told me you had a 10-1 for me.
Oh, no, that was the Phillies World Series.
Oh, Phillies World Series. Got it.
No, the other one I have is I like Arizona tonight against Morton and the Orioles.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a good bounce back spot for Kelly. Remember the last time we saw him pitch, he got bombed at Yankee Stadium. Better pitcher at home. So I like Kelly on the mound. I don't love what I've seen from Charlie Morton, who to me is just well past his prime. And Arizona, they're a very, very good offensive team. So I'm on Braves tonight, Diamondbacks tonight. I did throw in a 4-team basketball parlay, if you want me to share that. Maybe that's what I was insinuating. I don't even remember.
I don't know. What do you got in the NBA?
So Ringer wanted me to put one together. FanDuel wanted me to put one together for the Knicks game tonight. This is a homerish pick because I'm picking the Knicks to win. I just think they will be more into this game than the Celtics will, who are basically locked everything up.
Yeah, everyone on the Celtics is on the injury report.
We don't know who's playing, who's not. Don't be surprised if half the team doesn't show up today. So I took the Knicks, threw them in a money line parlay. OG Anunoby has been off the rails hot, Ariel, over the last 6-8 weeks. This goes back before the Jalen Brunson injury. And Jalen Brunson came back on Sunday, and OG Anunoby is banging 7 threes, and he's scoring 30-plus points, and he has really turned it on. So I'm taking him 20-plus points, 2 made threes, and I think you're going to see Jalen Brunson play a lot. because the Knicks are trying to get his sea legs back. He hasn't played for a month. They want to get him back to where he needs to be in condition for the postseason. I took him at 6+ assists. So parlay pays a little under 5-1. Knicks to win, 20 from Anunoby, 2 made threes, and Brunson 6 assists. Let's have some fun.
It's the shortest spread on the NBA board tonight at like -1, -1.5, which tells you how little the Celtics care about this game, because there is no way the Celtics are really a 1-point favorite over the New York Knicks. Sorry.
Correct. You would not get that line otherwise. No shot.
No. John Jastremski, check him out at New York Ringer Podcasts. We love you. Thanks for joining the show.
Always a pleasure, Prop Queen. Congrats on the beautiful, new graphic. I love the pink lighting in the background.
You know who did all this stuff for me?
No, I don't.
Someone who I worked with at the Yankees in 2015. He doesn't work there anymore, but his name's Justin, and he builds graphics. So,
well, Justin, they are beautiful. So, job
Yankees
well done.
Connection.
Well,
thanks,
JJ.
Well and
I want one of those signs, by the way. You may have to get me one. We'll see.
Okay, I'll tell you where to get it.
Nice.
And wish the wife good luck in the last month of her pregnancy.
We'll be sure to do so. Thanks, Ariel. Later.
See you, JJ. All right, coming up next, one of my very good friends. We've traveled together. We've watched sports together. I even brought her to a baseball game, and she's starting to kind of like the sport. She makes me like golf. She definitely makes me love tennis even more. Let's bring on my great friend, Pam Maldanado from ESPN. You are awesome. Thanks for coming on today.
The point that you made about starting to like baseball, I think that's debatable. Going to the games and there's hot dogs. If you feed me with some cocktails, I'm all in.
Well, that's what we did. And you also were in like the last season of the Trop before a hurricane decided to wipe it out. So you're pretty special.
And I still use the helmet. What is it? The ice cream helmet? That's become my favorite bowl to use.
Well, we're not going to have an ice cream helmet, but we've got the pimento grilled cheeses and we've got so much coming up with the Masters this week. Is this like your favorite week of the year?
It's actually not. As much as people love to say it's Masters week and I'm going all in, I'm kind of like, hey, it's Masters week. It's fun. My favorite tournament is actually the PGA Championship, and that's in mid-May. And I think it's because it's correlated with my birthday, and it's just like a good time. And I think it's a very difficult course. It's a different type of energy. And so I like the history of Augusta, but I love the competitiveness of the PGA Championship.
In golf, and again, people listening to me talk about betting on golf probably is going to say I'm an idiot, but I have a really a legitimate question that I think is legit. Mm-hmm. Would you say the Masters is like the Super Bowl where everything is super sharp and harder to cap?
I wouldn't say that it's harder to cap. And the reason for that is because I think majors is easier to handicap, not just Augusta, but it's just majors in general, because you have the best of the best. And I think actually because it's at Augusta, it becomes easier because of the history. They've been playing at the exact same course every year for tradition. It's been like 1,000 years. It's just like embedded in the golf, right? So because of all the extensive data points that we have, it kind of works out to where if the weather is good, with all of the stats that we have, things kind of tend to fall more into line. Now, when you go into these other tournaments that have rotating courses, those are difficult. Those are the ones that are like, okay, they're playing on one course on a Friday, they're playing on another course on a Saturday. What are we doing? That's where it becomes more difficult. So I think because the majors are a little bit more concrete, I enjoy betting those a lot more.
You do like for someone to miss the cut this weekend. Who are you taking to miss the cut and why?
I love Tyrrell Hatton, because anybody who has watched Tyrrell Hatton, he is just a wild firecracker. And if he has one bad shot, things can go off the rails really quickly. And I'm talking about like he's
got to work on the mentals.
He goes like full rage and like he becomes like a different person. He's like starting to cuss and he's like about to like snap his club and he's throwing it and he gets mad at his caddy. He's just like a very electric personality, and you need to be a lot more calm. Augusta's the kind of place that's like, hey, chill, bro. And he doesn't have that chill, bro mentality. So because of that, you're having him at miss the cut at plus 240, I think is like very good value, because you also need to be so solid off the tee, because if you go slightly left, you're into the trees. Augusta does not really give you much space to work with, and he has lost strokes with his iron. He has lost strokes off the tee in 7 straight tournaments. I predict that we are going to see a very erratic Hatton. We're going to see him, if he's on television and they give him any airtime, we're going to see like a roller coaster of an events for him. He's going to be theatrical. I see like an implosion even happening. So I feel like just disaster. And so for Terrell Hatton at plus 240 to miss the cut, screams value.
I love the miss the cuts just because it gives you a little bit of action early on in the weekend. And if I kick you out of this, like off screen real quick, don't worry. Okay, no, it worked. Yes, I'm learning this thing. Top 10 finishers. And by this thing, I mean learning StreamYard. Top 10 finishers. Pam, you've got both of these golfers to finish top 10. Why are you looking at Morikawa and Rahm?
Morikawa is my prediction to win this tournament. And Morikawa is not. So when I'm betting PGA, I don't necessarily bet outrights. I like betting the top 20 market, the top 10 market, and that's where I gain my value from. So Morikawa for a top 10 finish at plus 125 is valuable to me because I think he will win this tournament. He is trending so well at Augusta. It seems like every year he's trying to figure out this course more and more. It's a place where he has the familiarity. He's gained strokes putting. Morikawa is known as somebody who does not putt well. Yet when he goes to Augusta, he has gained strokes putting every single time that he's played. And if you look at all of the data points, every player that is in the field, only he and Scheffler have back-to-back Masters top 10 finishes. And Morikawa is the best ball striker on tour. He's the best iron player. He is the best driver, not even including Rory. He is best in almost every metric, and yet he's not a top 3 favorite. You're getting mega value with him above 10-1, and he's just like in such a groove. I really love him to either win this tournament, and if he's not winning this one, I'm betting on him again to win the PGA Championship.
Ooh, I like it. And did you mention Jon Rahm?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I'm kind of back and forth with this one. I did actually end up putting that I liked Rahm for a top 10 finish at plus 170. But I feel a little less confident now than I did like this morning. And it's because it's a little bit of beach. I think that he can win this tournament. Absolutely. But what's coming off what could end up biting him later on is that he has a T45 from last year, but it was such a rare dip in form because it was during a time where he had lost. It was the only stretch in like a 2-week period, 3 weeks where he lost strokes off with his irons, and it was the only time in all of 2024 that he did so. But it's because he had that injury, he had a WD. It was just like a really weird time for Rahm. Now I think this is like a huge bounce back moment. So I feel like Rahm getting for like a first round leader either in the first day or in the second day really makes a lot of sense. For a top 10 finish at plus 170, I feel like we're going to see an opportunity where you can even get that number better on the live line, because I feel like what we can see is a little bit of volatility. He has one solid round and maybe one like down round where he's maybe outside of the top 15, outside of the top 20, but he's such a player to where he can like lock in to where he can come back up the leaderboard the following day. So I think anytime you evaluate the live players, it's kind of like a hit or miss because it's like, how do you evaluate them? I really think Rahm, out of all the live players, he's the favorite to be the top live player for a reason. He has the Augusta resume with 3 top 10s. He has no glaring weaknesses. So it's just, can he overcome that mental hurdle from his T45 last year?
How much do you like betting top 10, top 20 finishers more than betting any of these like match bets that are out there on the board?
So I love betting. My favorite wager in PGA period is betting the top 20 market. You're almost always getting plus 20, getting plus money value. And because of that, that's enough for me. I like getting the plus money, even if it's plus 110, plus 115. The top 10s, I'm only wagering on those if your name is Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Collin Morikawa, and Jon Rahm. Like, those are like the it. And I'm not taking these plus 600 flyers, plus 800 flyers. Like, can they cash? Absolutely. But they're more of a risk, and I'd rather take them in the top 20, top 30 market. When it comes to the head-to-heads, I also love wagering the head-to-head matchups. Those are my favorite. But sports books need to get it together because they do not have the same options across the board. So what I find on one book That's it. You can't find that option anywhere else. So it's very difficult as like a content creator or as like a sports bettor to advertise something that either I don't have access to or that others don't have access to. But if all books were just like unison in that, I would be wagering head-to-head market all the time.
Which is so funny because in pretty much any other sport, it would be. But NASCAR and golf, I've seen that. It's very inconsistent. But you said you love these top 20s. So let's talk the top 20 finishers. Corey Connors, Robert McIntyre. Why you betting these? And again, they're pretty short for like, plus 155, plus 150. So why you like them?
I love Corey Connors. He's gaining strokes in every category right now, including putting. He's kind of been always team no putt, except now he's gotten it together and now he can be a positive player across the board. Now, what people are going to kind of argue on is that his ball striking this time last year was better, but now he's more of a balanced player. He has recent Augusta form. He did miss the cut in a T38, but prior to that, he did have 3 straight top 10s and his multiple top 20s in strong fields. He is a player because of his ball striking being so solid, consistent. When I'm wagering on somebody, I want consistency. That's what Corey Connor offers from the ball striking perspective. And now you're telling me that you can putt? I don't need you to be a positive putter and be like, sinking in every 40-footer that you see. But if you can at least be neutral on the greens, on these greens at Augusta, then yeah, you definitely have a top 20 finish at plus 155. For me is value. Tougher weekend conditions suit stronger ball strikers. That also suits Connors because he's one of the best ball strikers on tour.
Robert McIntyre.
This is my long shot. Now, people are like, wait, who is Robert McIntyre? Bobby Mack. He's also my long shot. I wrote it in my ESPN article because we had to pick long shots that were 55, that were above 50 to 1. He's also my long shot to like win this tournament at 55 to 1. But for a top 20, you're getting some really good value at him at plus 165 because he's trending at the right time. He has 2 top 25 finishes at Augusta. He's looked sharper each time that he's gotten back from in 2024. He had a back injury. Ever since coming back, he's been getting better, he's been getting consistent, and he hasn't really had any health issues. And because of that, you don't really ever need perfection when you're asking for players to finish in the top 20 because a top 20 finish at Augusta can mean like a 2 under, a 3 under. If you make the cut, you're more than likely have a shot at finishing in the top 20. He's one of those players that his mental game, he knows how to analyze the course. He's very analytical, and because of that, I like a player who can keep calm and keep composed. So for a top 20 at plus 150, it's a smart wager for a good risk to reward value.
Scottie Scheffler is the favorite to win the Masters at 4 to 1. How would you play Scottie when there's really no value even to just win this thing?
So Scottie This is the Pam version of Scottie Scheffler, the fan version, because I love Scheffler, and this time last year I was so convinced that Scheffler was winning this tournament. He did. Now I don't have that conviction with him at all this season because Scheffler is still like the best player in the world over a larger sample size. The last 100 rounds, absolutely, Scheffler is it. He's going to be in the mix. There's no value in taking him at almost 4.5 to 1. There's no value at taking him in the top 10 because he's like minus 200. His top 5 value is like plus 105. Like, are you kidding me? Like, these are the odds for Scheffler because he's so good. So what I would do is either take him as a first round leader or wait for a live line. I think Scheffler is the type of player at this tournament because of how inconsistent he's been this season ever since he came back from his ravioli incident. I think he's the type of guy where he's going to kind of be under the radar because all of the attention is going to be on Rahm. So because of that, I think there's an opportunity to where he's kind of like coasting. He's not really popping off the charts. He's not really going to be like in the top 2 of the leaderboard. So there's a potential that you're going to get a better number for him. I don't like him to win this tournament, so the number that I would be looking live after the first round would be in the top 10 or the top 5. If you can get even like anything better than what he has now is going to be valuable because he's always a player that can be in contention all 4 rounds and shoot up the board on a Sunday when it matters most.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, everyone else, like the drop off between Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to everybody else I'm just looking now, like on one board, Scotty Scheffler 4-1, Rory McIlroy plus 650. Then the drop off to John Rahm is 14-1. Why such a drop off?
Because Scheffler has proven that he can win these tournaments and consistent. He hasn't lost strokes with his irons in like 2 years. Scheffler is the best iron player off the tee on the market. That's it, period. There's a reason why he's world number 1. There's a reason why he's winning these tournaments. There's a reason why he's consistently even in the top 20s. Even Rory McIlroy, his base is most people's ceilings. And that's how I can describe him best, is that even on a bad day for Rory McIlroy, it's still better than almost every player on tour. These other players have to really like hit off with magic in order to like make a run. Rory on a bad day is a T8 and we're saying, oh, Rory's not winning. Like, come on. We need to give this guy some credit. So it's kind of like in tennis where back in the day when it was Novak Djokovic and Nadal 1 and 2 and then the rest of the field. That's how it is right now with McIlroy and Scheffler, 1 and 2, and the rest of the field. And you can kind of mix in a couple of other players like Rahm, like Morikawa, but for the most part, who have been consistent over the last like 2 years, you're going to have Scheffler and Rory, and then the rest of the field.
How would you play Rory?
Rory is somebody that, okay, so yesterday I was like, I really like Rory for a top 10, but his odds are minus 140. So I really like him to also win this tournament. And if it's not Morikawa, I'm going with Rory McIlroy. And it just feels, I'm going to sound like a goof. Stats aside, we know how great of a player he is. Stats aside, this just feels like it's a faded energy with McIlroy. Calculated. Like,
for everybody who doesn't know, Pam's really into the stars and astrology, and so am I.
I am super into the stars. I'm big woo-woo girl. Like, I just like, and I watched this Nadal podcast, and I mean Nadal. I watched Naval. And if you haven't watched Naval, one letter. That's where my mind was. But Naval, and he was talking about, it was like a 3-hour podcast. He hasn't done a podcast since 2019. So it's taking me some time. And just this morning, I ended up listening to a portion where he's talking about your gut versus your head and how do you decipher that. And after I heard him say, like, your gut is basically your second brain, and yes, you're true. After hearing what he said, I was just like, my gut for days has been saying that Rory's going to win this tournament, but the number is shaking me off because this is the second lowest odds that McIlroy has ever had in his career. And the first time he was the second favorite, also around plus 650 to Tiger Woods. Well, Tiger Woods ended up winning, not him. And he actually ended up finishing T12 in that tournament. But because of the odds, they're kind of like, well, you know, I don't want to bet Rory. And well, we just saw him kind of like freak out over a phone. He is still the best player at this moment. If it's not Morikawa and it hasn't been Scheffler, it's Rory in the mix. He's right there. And this is the last thing that he needs to get off of his like shoulder of like, okay, let me finish the career Grand Slam. He has the skill set. I think that phone incident probably even put him in a better mindset. He's absolutely in the mix for this to win. Now, how I would bet him on the live line. I think because there's going to be no rain on Thursday, which means that the greens are going to be fast and firm, which means it's anybody's game as to who's going to be able to shoot a good round. McIlroy is going to be in the mix. Yes, he can be. But I think a better opportunity to potentially grab a better line would be on Friday, where there's rain expected, because that's going to slow stuff down. And the people that are going to excel are the bombers, the people who have really good iron shots. That's McIlroy. Because of his ability to also be a well-rounded player, he can putt. He's improved his around the green performances. Because he's more well-rounded than anybody else, he has the opportunity to go low. So I would either look for him to do like a second round leader, try to potentially grab him a better live line after the first round. Or what you could even do is put a half unit on his plus 650 number now, and then put a half unit if the number does get better. Let's say it's anywhere between like 8-1, 7. Like you can end up middle by combining the two. You're getting like the average of like plus 750, and that's still better than the plus 650 that you're getting now. So I would look for the live line on the top 10 on the to win market. It's Rory's time, and my gut says so.
Pam's gut's telling her so, but the numbers tell her to definitely take a look here at the top finishers, Morikawa and John Rahm at top 10, top 20, Corey Connors and Robert McIntyre. I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute because someone earlier did say, please, Pam, a pick tomorrow, tennis in Monte Carlo.
I have no idea. I have not been watching the tournament.
Week, Sergio.
It's Masters week. I woke up this morning and I saw Tiafoe as an underdog, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's wrong." But the match it was already in the third set, so I was just behind on the event. And so
I've got another one for you. Jorge says, "Could Pam tell us some tips on how to bet golf?"
On how to bet golf, general.
So, what would you say is like the best advice to give people who might be betting the Masters for the first time this week?
Stick to the top 20 market. It's super fun to like bet on outrights, but you see other people's betting cards and they have like 15 outrights and they're allocating it by different prices. If you want returned investment, stick to the top 20 market. You're almost always getting plus money. If you have a head-to-head, do that. And look for money live. There's a really good betting opportunity when it comes to not just the Masters, but the PGA. Betting after their first round, overreactions or underreactions. So you can potentially almost always, after the first round, get a better live line.
Love that. Pam Maldanado, check her out on ESPN Bet on ESPN and at ESPN.com, writing articles all the time and always making her face seen on the big screen. ESPN. I really wanted to get your story, but I'll have to bring you on another time that's not Masters Week so we can tell people and inspire people on how you got to ESPN. Pam, thanks so much for coming on and good luck this week.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Now I have to get my life back together after back-to-back guests. We've got a few minutes left, and I still haven't gotten to like any of my segments today. So let's start with propaganda. Propaganda. So these are the most bet on props today via BetMGM. Some of these already happened, but of course, Paul Skeens is the most bet on prop today at BetMGM. Great job, public. You never, ever, ever let us down. Paul Skeens over 6.5Ks is minus 150. It's an absolute no for me. The St. Louis Cardinals are averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game. In fact, not one pitcher has gone over 6.5 strikeouts yet this year against the Cards. I know it's Paul Skeens. I know he could be very capable. The Cardinals are just not a team I bet overs with strikeout props. So the public, you never cease to amaze me. Cookie Carrasco under 4.5 Ks was heavily juiced at minus 160. The public did hit there today against the Detroit Tigers. We can't trust Cookie, even though I bet him against him last time and he ended up giving me a loser. So Tarek Skubal over 7.5 Ks. He did not hit, had 6 strikeouts in 6 innings pitched. The Yankees have faced 3 other lefties this year. Nestor Cortez had 2, Bailey Falter had 5, and then Heaney had 10. So 7.5 was somewhat of a feat. And I know that Skubal, he stayed in the game for 6 innings. He pitched a shutout, 4 hits allowed to the Yanks. But the Yankees don't strike out as enough for a 7.5. The Yankees could strike out enough if you get a lefty of like a 4.5, 5.5. 7.5 is too high. Charlie Morton over 4.5 hits allowed. John Jastremski came on earlier, talked about how he doesn't like Morton today. The Orioles are up against the Diamondbacks. And against Arizona, Morton has not had a win since 2018. And his teams have lost all these games. 5.14 ERA. His teams losing each of the games that he's faced them since 2018. Morton's allowed 9 runs in just over 8 innings pitched in his 2 starts this year. Opponents hitting .438, 2 home runs with runners on against Morton. Can't trust him. So over 4.5 hits allowed. The only thing I don't like about it is the minus 160. But yeah, I do think Morton could get rocked tonight. Pablo Lopez over 4.5 Ks at minus 145. He's 5-0 with a 2.43 ERA in 5 starts against Kansas City since joining the Twins. Right-handers, they're struggling against Lopez, but lefties are doing well, 360 with 2 home runs. KC just doesn't strike out a lot. They average just under 4 strikeouts a game dating back to last year. Only 3 pitchers have gone over 4.5 Ks. But I'll tell you this, Lopez doesn't pitch that well on the road either. This is just a very low number for Lopez at 4.5. It's low. I don't like that it's a low number like that. Ooh. I would stay away from it, but the public likes it because it is a low number. But just remember, the Royals don't strike out that much. Okay. Next segment. I hate that I have to like vamp like that because I have to look for this stuff. But we do have, finally, it's been so long since we've had this. Fishy lines. The fishy line of the day. It's the Athletics. I almost said Oakland. The Athletics against the Padres. You know, the Athletics do not have a win yet in their new temporary minor league ballpark in Sacramento. The line has gone from the Athletics plus 122 to plus 114, despite the Padres being one of the most publicly bet sides tonight because it's still in Cease. Over 90% of actions coming in on the Padres, and yet the line moved 10 cents against them since last night. Dylan Cease hasn't pitched in this park yet, at least as a major leaguer. I didn't really go and look back to the minors. His first road start of the year for Cease. The ball's been flying out of this park. At least your starter, Jeffrey Springs, has had some, he had one start in this stadium already, so he kind of knows it. Plus, the Padres struggle a lot against lefties. That's probably why this number moved so much, because Springs has pretty good stuff. And I'm worried about how the Padres do against lefties. What I'm more worried about is the bullpen, because the Athletics bullpen is one of the worst in the league right now, and the Padres have one of the best. Both bullpens have been used a decent amount recently. The Padres a bit more, actually. Maybe you go first 5? Either way, it's a fishy line, so just stay away from the San Diego Padres tonight. Before I get to Royal Locks, did I have time to add this? Yes, MLB props to watch. So MLB props to watch. These are 2 that I like today. They're not my best bets. Cole Reagan's over 6.5 strikeouts I like. He's gone over this in one of the 2. The one was Milwaukee. He had 10 strikeouts. The other was Cleveland, 3. But the Guardians don't strike out as much as Milwaukee. There were 4 starts last year that Reagan's had against Minnesota. He had at least 7 strikeouts in all of them. Last year at home, Reagan's averaged just over 8 strikeouts a game when facing high K rate teams. It's a bit juiced, minus 140. So you can take a look there. Also, to all that celebrate, it is Fade Patrick Corbin Day. So welcome to Fade Patrick Corbin Day, everybody. It's his first start for the Texas Rangers. Corbin pitched for the Nats the last 6 seasons. Now he's getting his first start of the year in Wrigley. His start got moved up because there was an injury to Jack Leiter getting a blister on his finger. I would go over 4.5 hits allowed at minus 145 if you could still grab it. At Wrigley in his career, Corbin, 5.82 ERA. He has allowed at least 6 hits in his last 3 starts at Wrigley. He gets smashed today. No Patrick Corbin. 1 minute left, probably a little bit less, but let's get to Royal Locks. My best bet of the day, Nick Lodolo over 4.5 strikeouts. He just faced the Giants 2 starts ago in his first start of the year. He only had 1 K. That was ridiculous. There was no way he should have only had 1 K. Lodolo, last year, averaged just over 6 strikeouts a game, even on the road against high K rate teams. That's the Giants. They averaged just over 5 strikeouts a game against lefties. Lefty starters last year, 26 and 18 over under their strikeout prop. The Giants this year faced Framber Valdez, had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings against him. Lodolo was the other lefty they faced. He only had the 1 strikeout in 6 innings. It was weird. Like I said with Kodai Senga yesterday, if something was supposed to happen and didn't, then you bet it in the second time. If something was supposed to happen and did, don't bet it the second time. It was supposed to happen in game 1 and it didn't. Nick Lodolo is going over 4.5 strikeouts tonight against the San Francisco Giants. That is the Royal Lock of the night. Thank you, everybody, for joining another episode of the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. We will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on all Prop Queen sports platforms and on my socials at Ariel Epstein. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.